Backy, how we doing? This is going to be my practical revision. Basically, for the first section of anthropometrics, I only got 1 point off, so I'm not going to do anything in lab here today, but I'm going to give like a little explanation at the end of the video at a different location. Same for the third section, the muscular strength section. I'll do a little explanation. But basically what I'll be doing today in class is going through the body composition section as well as the cycloergometer. I'll just be listing what I did wrong and the correct way to do things here. So for the second section, which was the body composition and skin fold, there are a couple things that I did wrong. The first was not measuring where to do my skin folds. So for the chest, I should have measured halfway between the anterior axillary line and the nipple. So that's going to be right here. I'm going to be standing up. I would have gone from basically in between my armpit down to my nipple right here, and I would take a diagonal fold in this little section right here. I also didn't measure the abdomen, which would have been, I would have taken a measurement from the umbilicus or your belly button here, and it would have been 2 centimeters to the right. So right around this line right here. Finally, my thigh reading was not even close to where it was supposed to be. It was way too far down. I would have taken the reading right around this midsection here. It would have been halfway between the inguinal crease and the top of the patella, so right around this midsection of my thigh. The last thing I did wrong for that section was not changing my site while doing measurements. Basically, I was doing the same spot every time, as well as I took 3 trials for each site rather than seeing that my readings were within 2 millimeters and only needing to do 2 trials for each site. All right, let's see here. So for the last section for cycloergometer, I didn't even get to that. So basically I'm just going to be explaining what I did because I ran out of time, and so I'll walk you through what I would have done. Firstly, I would have told my client about the purpose of the test, which is to measure VO2 max submaximally. I'd then run them through the procedure of the test, explaining the 7-minute test and its components of the warm-up, the first stage, second stage, and the cool-down phase. I would also let them know that they would need to pedal at 60 RPMs for each stage, and that each phase will get harder with resistance, but during the cool down, it'll get much less strenuous. I would also explain to my client that I would be taking measurements during the test, like BP, heart rate, and RPE. I'd explain that RPE is just like a self-assessment, basically, of how hard you're doing the activity is. Then I would go to the cycloergometer and I would measure the seat height just to make sure that they're sitting properly on the cycloergometer. I would have them sitting up straight, and I would make sure that the knee angle would be at 25% of their full stretched out foot when pedaling. So I'll do a little demonstration of that. So I wouldn't actually have them sit on the bike, but I would do a little estimate here. I would change the knob, and then I would make sure that feet in the pedals, they're sitting up straight with their hands on the handles here. And I'd be making sure that they'd be getting not full extension while riding, but more of a 25-degree angle when they're maxing out that pedal down at the bottom here. Right. So each stage has a different resistance. The warm-up starts at 0.5 kilograms, which increases to 1 kilogram during stage 1, and then to 2 kilograms during stage 2, and then finally back down to 0.5 kilograms in the cool down stage. I'd be changing these resistances accordingly throughout the test, as well as I would be collecting heart rate, BP, and RPE at certain times throughout the test. These times would be during the first minute. That would be like the warm-up stage, that would be the resting stage. I would also collect these measurements during the end of the first stage, during the third and fourth minute. I would also collect these data points during the end of the second stage, which is around the 5th and 6th minute, as well as a final measurement during the cool down phase between the 6th and 7th minute. Throughout the test, I'd be making sure that the client was keeping that 60 RPM cadence, just monitoring while I'm doing those BP, heart rate tests, stuff like that, making sure they're keeping a consistent RPM. And then finally, once the test is over, I'd taken the VO2 max value that was given to us on the test, and I'd use my ACSM guidelines to classify the VO2 max, and the classification would be poor to fair, or in the 35 to 40th percentile. That's it for the in-person portion. Yeah, I think I explained everything, and yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I will add in another little snippet of talking about the first and third section of what I did wrong in those. I got a point off and half a point off in those sections, so I'll just give like a little sentence about it. But yeah, other than that, thank you for a great semester, and I will see you at some point. Thanks. Second location. All right, so earlier I discussed in the first part of this video that there was two things that I missed in the first and third section, and I got a point and half a point off, so I didn't really feel like it was necessary to demonstrate those in the lab room. But I just want to give a little context of what happened. So basically, for the first section, first thing I did incorrectly was use 15 count when measuring my heart rate. I was supposed to use a 30-second count for heart rate. Did not do that. And then the second thing that I did incorrectly was not giving my client their BMI classification. While I did calculate their BMI correctly and told them some information about it and like explaining like the uses of BMI and stuff like that, I did actually forget to give them the actual classification of obese was the classification. So yeah. In the third section, I got half a point off, and that was because when I was doing the dynamometer test, I actually had my client flip the reading dial for kg back to 0, and I was supposed to do that myself because that was just like unnecessary movement for them, and as like me proctoring the exam, they should be focused on just doing, you know, as best they can on it, and I'll, you know, help them with everything else. But yeah, those were the only two other things that I got wrong. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to show any equipment for that. But yeah, thanks, Backy, and I'll probably see you again sometime soon. But thank you. Gifford out.